Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Thoughtful Thursday, and today we are going to talk about how to deal with bad news at the doctor's office. So, um, I want to talk about this today because I have experienced getting bad news from the doctor's office. So, just to give you a little bit of background about me, I don't think I've brought it up yet in my series, but I am a cancer survivor and I had the experience of obtaining that information from the doctor and, pulling myself together and figuring out how to get past it. So I thought that would be a good topic to talk about today because whenever I tell people my story, even at the time when it happened, people are like, oh my God, I would have freaked out. How did you deal with this? How did you handle it? How are you so calm about it? How are you this? How are you that? So I figured that because my channel is about health, relationships, and career, that it's finally time to talk about health. So let me jump right in. And of course, I have my notes. So, number one, when you are at the doctor's office and you get bad news, the only thing that you can do at that moment is stay calm. And what does that mean? It basically means like resisting the urge to have all these negative thoughts, like going from 0 to 100. I mean, I was there. I went from 0 to 100. I found that I had breast cancer, and the first thing I thought was immediately, I'm gonna lose all my hair. I'm gonna have a giant scar on my body. They're gonna have to cut off my breasts. There were a lot of things that went through my head that were just unnecessarily. It was just unnecessary to spook myself in that manner. But I went that direction, and then immediately I had to pull myself together because I'm a single person. At the time I was living, I still live away from my family, but I was living in Washington D.C. at the time, and my family's on the West Coast, and I had to not freak out because I had to at least put on a brave face for my family. So staying calm about it and kind of just dealing with it from a logical standpoint. And me, I'm a logical person, I'm a consultant. So for me, I had to deal with it from, okay, so this is the problem, now there has to be a solution. So number one is staying calm and just kind of absorbing the information and getting to the point where you start to get to a point where you can think about, well, what does that mean? What's next? What do I have to do? Now, I obviously am doing well. I didn't know what kind of cancer diagnosis I had. So for me, I thought it was something that was life-threatening. And if I chose the road of avoiding it, avoiding the care, it could have been life-threatening. But for me, it was a thing where I wanted to take care of it immediately. The second thing is accepting it. Now, there are cases where people are misdiagnosed with things, and if you feel like you're being misdiagnosed, I would by all means tell you to get a second opinion. Doctors are human beings. Doctors are trained based on seeing different person's bodies on a case-by-case basis. So we're not all exactly the same. So one doctor may think that you have some sort of disease or sickness or whatever, and it may be wrong. Getting a second opinion is not a bad thing. But when I'm talking about acceptance, I'm talking about accepting that this is your new reality. Like whatever you knew about your health before is not it. And accepting it for what it is and doing something about it. Now, in the past, I've known people who are diabetics, or they find out that they have diabetes, and they don't really accept it. They continue to eat terrible. They don't, check their numbers, and they're not accepting it because it takes a load of discipline to change your habits. And And sometimes people think that, well, you know, I don't feel sick, so I'm not sick. And you want to accept it, and acceptance helps you to figure out, okay, what do I do going forward? The thing about not accepting it is because eventually you're going to find yourself at a place where you're going to be really sick. And then that's a whole different feeling and experience that you ever want to be at, because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. If you can't walk around, if you can't, you know, do the things that you want to do when you're held up in the house because you were avoiding accepting that you were sick, it's not a good thing, and it's not a good choice to make if you want to live a long time, or if you want to live comfortably for a long time. And the last thing is, when you find out about, when you find out that you've been sick or that you have some sort of bad news, it's just kind of make a plan. So for me, I'll give you my example. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I mean, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I'll record another video about that experience. But I had to make a plan on what it is I was going to do. So the first thing I was going to do when I found out I had cancer, I was like, okay, well, let me call the people that I need to call and tell them what's going on. Then the next thing I'm going to do, because this is what my doctor at the time told me, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call the surgeon and go figure that situation out. And then from there, once I understand what the severity of this particular issue is, then I'll figure out like how the financing, the health insurance, telling my job, telling my, like, you to me, and I'm a logical mind, and that's just how I function. This is not how everybody functions, but for me, I had to have steps on how to get through this, because I've been in situations where I've had all these things coming at me at one time, and I completely freak out and become paralyzed, and nothing gets done. So again, I just wanted to go back through that again. So when you're dealing with bad news from the doctor, you want to first stay calm. Then you want to get to the acceptance portion of that this is happening to me, I do have a real health issue. And the last thing is to make a plan to get through it. And I will be recording another video about my experience with breast cancer and how I got past it and what I did with and how I handled it and how I am handling it. I mean, it's not even been a full 2 years since I went through cancer treatment. It's a life-changing experience. And the thing is that none of us are clear of having a health issue, but I think it's something that we don't really talk about with one another enough, and it can be a very scary thing. I mean, it's nobody really, you don't have experience with a health issue until you have a health issue. So I would appreciate it if you like this video to please subscribe to my channel, hit like on my video, and in the comment section, please, by all means, leave a message in there on anything that you would like me to talk more about in my experience of resilience. And also, you can find me at my blog at www.simply-resilient.com. And I will see you guys next week for Thoughtful Thursdays. And thank you for joining me. Talk to you later.